Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tall and Tall. We got another good show today, uh, from talking about the Matt Weiss situation, uh, all the way down to looking at the AFC Championship game and NFC Championship game this weekend, and making our predictions on that. Um, First, before we get too far into the show, um, we're gonna run a little promo contest for everybody. Um, Guys, we're going to be giving away a 2022 Michigan Football Big Ten Championship T-Shirt on next week's show. We'll go ahead and draw next Saturday on the show. To qualify, um, you must like and follow our page. It doesn't matter whether it's Twitter, Facebook, just like or follow, depending on the uh, platform. Uh, Also, like and share today's podcast. Like I said, we'll draw the winner next Saturday. If Make sure as long as everyone does that, that's how you get entered to win. Um, I got it running on the bottom of the screen right now, and it's also in our Facebook post and things like that on how to win. Like I said, it doesn't have as long as you do it by next Saturday. We'll go through next Friday night and even Saturday morning if it comes up, and add everybody's name to a hat and make the drawing. Yeah, we'll be giving away a Big Ten championship T-shirt. Just make sure you like and share the page, or like and follow the page, and then share today's podcast. Uh,
I think Aaron Heckman wins automatically.
I mean, I think we might just get him his own thing, anyways. Um, like, but we'll see how that one goes. Is he? Oh, I thought maybe he commented or something that brought that up. Um, But yeah, guys, please like, share, follow, do whatever you guys need to do to try to get in that drawing. Um, Moving on, I'll mention it again at the end of the show. Matt Weiss. It's kind of a weird situation. Um, haven't heard anything since he got the out. Haven't really heard anything um since the initial report came out.
Right.
It's kind of like I said, it's a weird situation going down. Whether it's something small, something big, what do you think?
I don't think it's of gigantic proportions, but it's obviously big enough to get him fired. And they suspended him immediately, and what was it, 4 or 5 days later, maybe less than that. They announced that he was let go. So um, big enough. I don't think it's something as simple as you know somebody left their email signed in and he sat down and was scrolling through it and it pissed someone off. I think it's more than that, but I don't think that it elevates high enough to one of the first thoughts in my mind, and the first thought of all of our rivals, was like it's child pornography or
Yeah,
something really nefarious. And I don't think that's the case either. The Michigan case law on it's pretty vague. Using a computer for something that you're not supposed to, is what he's being investigated for, and that's something that's important too. That he hasn't been charged yet. I would be shocked if he's not charged, because if it was nothing, I don't think the university would have let him go. Pretty common to suspend someone with pay while things are under investigation, but I feel like since they let him go, they had enough information to say, hey, there's really something to this, and you got to go. So a lot of speculation, a lot of questions, really still, as to what exactly it was, but not good anywhere around. But I don't think that, and of course could be proven wrong later, but I don't think it's anything really horrendous either.
yeah, and ESPN stated. I know Ward Manuel said. I mean, the main reason so far that he had been terminated was because it broke university policies.
Right.
Um,
which in all fairness is
And that's
probably what they had to use to terminate him on. That's a general
yeah,
thing that's in everybody's contracts. That's just a generic thing, I'm sure. But doing a scroll pre-show of Matt Weiss. I look through the Ann Arbor News, and I don't read that regularly, but now with social media, everything's on Twitter 5 minutes or less after it's on hits, say, the Detroit News or Free Press homepage or whatever. So we'll see what happens. I can't believe that it won't come out eventually unless somehow he isn't charged. But yeah, not a good look. But that has been kind of our off season so far.
yeah, it's been I wouldn't say a super dark off season, but definitely hasn't went. I would like we talked about. I would enjoy one off season where we didn't have any drama. Just
Right.
just just one in a while. I can't even remember the last time that we had um an off season with no drama. Definitely not since Harbaugh's been here.
Right. And this one seems to have been the worst of the
Oh yeah, between the
in recent
hamburger
memory. Not that
burger
there's a lot
gate.
of bad stuff, but just last year we've been over and over this, but last year Harbaugh's like, I'm done. I'm not looking at the NFL anymore. I'll stay as long as they have me. To his, well, I fully expect to be coaching. It just that I thought that was weird right from the get. The first time he said that was before the CFP. It was mid December, I think, and at the time I thought that's a little bit weird because I really don't believe that the NFL is really high on his radar. Does he still have that itch? Yeah, I'm sure he does, and I think that it makes it many times worse that he lost his only shot at the Super Bowl to his brother.
Yeah, it probably doesn't every holiday. That's getting brought up.
Oh yeah, every time
John's walking in there. Hey, bro.
right, and John has helped the program
Yeah,
tremendously,
very much
but
so.
as family members do and brothers do, there's a barb there every opportunity that John gets, um, and that's fair because if it was the other way around, it'd be that way. So just a
And
lot of things from the and Cade wasn't even as bad. He took a couple little shots on his way out, but the Eric All stuff and then the Harbaugh stuff and
we don't mention those two.
the tunnel. Well, it's all part of the
I
off-season
know.
drama, right?
I
They
know.
they created it out on their way out. They could have just left, which was fine. Um, I don't like it, but that's the new reality in college football. So to the Weiss stuff, to the tunnel stuff, to moving the seats, um, just a lot going on, and to go back to Harbaugh. Yeah, and I'm sure I've said this before, but I don't blame him one bit. It gets on my nerves as much as it does everybody else's, but um, obviously, a new contract still hasn't been announced. And maybe this,
He still has. I know, but he still has like what 4 years?
yeah, he
Because
just
then
signed a
he
new one
just signed a
last year,
5 year
5 year deal
last
last year.
year.
Right.
But I mean, he obviously deserves more money. I mean, especially now. Let's just hope it
Yeah,
doesn't happen like
the
every
thing
other.
is he's what's being reported is money for him is not a problem, and it never has been. He's wanting more money
Yeah.
for assistance. He's wanting some help on the transfer rules. Michigan's
NIL.
policies and NIL, which Michigan is flat out. So they can't run it right, but they're flat out. Sounds like refusing to get involved on any level, and even as basic as being willing to contact some donors to say, hey, do you want to help here?
Oh yeah, and that we talked about that last season with Juwan Howard and Harbaugh when Hunter Dickinson was kind of talking about it.
Yeah,
That it's Harbaugh and Juwan have pretty much been out there. Well, I don't know if they still are, but last season they were the ones out there trying to find their kids deals.
Yep.
But this all takes me back, like that part of it where that university says, "Oh, we don't want to be out looking." That takes me back and reminds me of this so much. We talked about it, I think, on our first episode. Is the fucking, in my opinion, it's the blue hair bullshit. Same thing as telling a 8-year-old kid to sit down at a football game at the big
Right.
house, let alone somebody who's not. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole because I feel very strongly and get pissed off about this every time I talk about it. But I think that's where it comes from, is that we're better than you. We don't need NIL deals. When if we're gonna compete in the long run and continue to get talent in like JJ McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, Blake Corums, they're gonna have to do something at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it's weird to me. I just don't, because it's not like they don't have the fucking money. The amount of money that university makes a year. Not even
Well,
just up.
and that's the thing is it can't come from the university, right? The
Well, I get
university,
that, but there's
the
ways to get
university
around that.
just really has to say, hey, yeah, we're gonna. So there's a guy who is a good friend with Hardball, Todd Anson, right? And
Yeah.
last year he come out quite a bit and was kind of like the middleman and relaying information from Harbaugh. And he was this year he was just during this past episode too. And he man, I wish I would have thought about this and pulled it up, but I didn't know we were going down this route. But anyways,
Yeah, me either.
he had a $1 billion endowment lined up for NIL, and Warde shot it down.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, and
I think me and you talking about
he
it.
went on a 3 or 4 day Twitter rampage, posting little snippets, like not giving enough away to ruin their plan and everything, but enough to put Warde in a bad light. And I have no doubt that he is shit, I lost my thought. He is no doubt on Jimmy's side of the fence, right? And
oh yeah,
but I feel like he's kind of been Jim's mouthpiece, and like Jim is feeding him what to say. And he's an older guy, late 60s, early 70s, attorney, pretty distinguished career. And you can tell a little bit it's self-serving, like he eats up the attention, which, okay, fine, whatever. But I also believe most of what he says, and more importantly, everything that he has said that could be proven true so far has been. So it's not like he's just out there talking out of his ass, which is 90% of Twitter. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with it. But yeah, the drama can stop, and let's just move on. I wonder a little bit. I think the school is probably waiting for this NCAA stuff to sort out, and
knew I forgot to put something in today's show.
And two, this whole Weiss situation might have something to do with it too, because the reality of it is that this could come down to be something bigger than what's being let on at the moment. And if Weiss was doing it on the behalf of Harbaugh, or on the behalf of somebody that Harbaugh instructed, or if there was a lot more people involved, and I don't think so, because I think that probably would have come out now, but I think it's definitely still a real possibility. So they're waiting for a reason, because why not? 2 weeks ago they said they had agreement in principle, they just had to have it signed, and then 2 or 3 days later, the Weiss stuff broke, and here we are.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Everyone just, I mean, we're all there. We're all there in the same boat, all just waiting. Kind of go to a good note, though. Found a replacement pretty fast. Kurt Campbell to take over. I mean, he is. Let me find out. He really doesn't have that much coaching experience at the college level, at least. If you go back and look, he really only coached. He was an offensive analysis last year for us.
Yep. And he was at Vanderbilt, I think, and
so he was at. He came to Michigan from Old Dominion. He spent as the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks coach for 2 seasons, and the one season they didn't play. And then before that he was an offensive analysis for Penn State for 3 seasons. Does have, like I said, quarterback coach experience. Was interim coach for Penn State in the 2019 Cotton Bowl, and then, as I said, the Old Dominion's quarterback coach for a season.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things I went back and looked yesterday or the day before, whenever it was announced, you know, Penn State's quarterback, he was there when they had the most success that they've probably had in a while at that position. You know, I think, generally speaking, those position coaches are a little bit overrated, and you know, they get too much credit and too much blame for the results because you know, these college athletes now, by and large, these kids have been playing football since they're 6 and 7 years old, and they've been getting coached. And you know, these guys are coaching fundamentals and schemes. And you know, a kid's got talent. If a kid's got talent, he's got talent. And sure, can you scheme a kid to poor play or scheme a kid to bad play? Absolutely. But you know, to me, that's the biggest job of a coach is designing a system and calling plays that best suit, you know, that player's strengths, and try to minimize exploiting their weaknesses. So we'll see, but you know, I think that means that, you know, Sharon Moore is going to take the sole title of OC, and I'd be curious to see if he's still our O-line coach.
I mean,
because that's a lot, right? To do both, it seems like to me. And he's assistant, you know, he's assistant head coach too, right? So there's a lot of responsibility, and you know, something that everybody was doing, but now is legal, and it's one of the things that we got our ass into a thing is into a sling with the NCAA is that GAs and stuff can coach now, even though they weren't supposed to. So maybe they're going to slide around some responsibilities, and that'll be it, and he'll kind of oversee it. We'll see, but I believe that that's all they're allotted true coaching spots. So I trust that Jimmy's got a plan, and I believe in it. So, you know, even though I don't know what it is, I trust Harbaugh enough to know, okay, I'm sure this will work out.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I mean, coaches without a lot of experience have worked out pretty well for us in the past few years.
Yeah.
I mean, McDonald had experience, but not as a coordinator.
Right.
And then, I mean, Jesse Minter was a coordinator for a few years 2 years at Vanderbilt before he came to Michigan. So I mean, we've had very good talent, and again, as we talked about a few years ago, just me and you is going out to get the younger coaches.
Yeah.
To change the philosophy of the program, and that's what we've seen.
So I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole with this, but holy shit on Josh Gaddis, right?
Oh yeah, I was
So
shit show, walking
so
shit show everywhere he goes.
so first year here wasn't great, right? I felt like we took a couple steps back, which I don't think is uncommon when you get a new coordinator, new system. But now with hindsight, wins the Broyles Award winner. 2 days later, he sets all the bridges possible on fire from Michigan and leaves for Miami.
Did you
Right,
see? Yeah,
burns
sorry.
him to the ground, and I think it was a year and 7 days after he won the Broyles Award, he fucking gets fired from Miami after 1 year. So
There's got to be
I have a
something more to
feeling
that.
that's just as much personality as it is, his schemes. Cristobal, I read a Cristobal quote and I can't remember what it was, and it was really generic. But if you read between the lines, I got the impression that it was like nobody likes this motherfucker, so I had to let him go.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's got to be something more than just him not being a good coach, like you just said. He,
Maybe he's banging more recruits' moms or something down in Miami, and
oh fucking, who fucking knows? I was gonna say something else. I don't know. Mine just went fucking blank.
So what brought me to that was the whole young assistant thing, right? Because
Yeah,
coached at Penn State, coached at Bama, coached with us, and then it's funny is that Maryland coach Mike Loxley, right, got promoted from Bama to there, and you remember right before we played Maryland, or it might have been right after, him and Gaddis got in a little bit of a Twitter war about who was calling the plays. It looked, I believe Loxley now. So, it sounds like, and more power to him. But Gaddis kind of rode the coattails to everybody else and got some success, and now he's been exposed. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes next, and what he does. But it sounds like he's a lot more about the lifestyle than the actual
the actual coaching.
Yep.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I wish whatever I was gonna say, and it makes me really mad that I forgot it. It was actually like something good and like productive. And it's really driving me crazy, but I'm not gonna sit here and think about it. But like you said, there's a lot of good. Like I said, there's a lot of good coming with the younger coaches. So I'm interested to see what Harbaugh does. I mean, I think Sharon Moore is 100% deserves a straight up offense coordinator spot. I mean, there was talks about going out and getting some people maybe to take it and leaving him as the old line coach. And I don't think that's the right move, because I think if we were to do that, he would be out the door very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because I mean, he's earned it. The job he's did with the offensive line has been phenomenal, and you can't hate on it. I mean, he's returning pretty much over half of the offensive line from last season again. Plus, add on the transfers coming out of Stanford and the one out of Arizona State, Henderson. Very well could be back to back Joe Moore offensive line winners again.
Yep. Yeah, we got enough return.
I mean, honestly, fuck that shit, because honestly, it hasn't worked out for us in the playoffs. Anytime that we won it, so I really don't want it anymore. Give it to somebody else so they can shit the bed. That way we have. I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole because I could have just went down a bigger one, but I don't know if there's a curse in that award for us. If their heads got too big, but like me and you talked about, Georgia blew our offensive line up 2 years ago after winning it. This year, TCU, same fucking thing.
Yep.
I mean, whether that's nerves on the big stage, which it's probably a mixture. But I mean, one thing I know with Sherramo is I don't think it's not having his guys prepared. It's just the guys aren't mentally ready like themselves. It's something that the guys are going to have to work on this offseason to be ready next season, because you're going to get the same exact shit as soon as you get in the playoffs again, which I wholeheartedly think that there's no way Michigan doesn't make the playoffs next season.
No,
I mean, the amount of players,
barring an injury to
yeah.
JJ, if everybody stays healthy, we should be right there again.
Don't put that bad mojo even out there. But yeah, like I said, we'll see how Harbaugh decides to handle it. Who knows when he'll announce Moore's a complete upgrade? He might not even announce it. He might just send it. I mean, that's Harbaugh's thing to do, but we'll see. We'll go to this quick thing. I was just reading about it. Michigan announced, 2-3 days ago now? Might have been longer than that. We're going to be widening the tunnel down towards the end of the tunnel, which is weird to me. And one aspect of it is because why are they widening it down there when it seems like nothing's happened down there?
So it seems this isn't so much a reaction to the assault that took place or the little spat with Penn State, but it's in response to the fan that slapped Mel Tucker in the head or tried to slap him.
Yeah, okay. I forgot. So, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, so to me, they're going to take a U out. It looks like 1 or 2 seats all the way around that stadium arch, and that's going to I guess they're going to have ushers there all over the place because people are still going to gather around that fence if they don't. But to me,
but if you move them back, it's probably going to put them higher.
Right. And something that's funny about that I get why they did it. They had to do something because it's gotten too much attention. And even though it hasn't been a problem for 500 years, all of a sudden now in people's eyes it is. So because of the optics, they had to do something. And this is the least invasive thing that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But what I thought was funny is that they announced that they are going to sell those 45 seats tickets as standing room only now.
Yeah, that's what I was about to read, and I'm like, where are you going to put standing room only? There's not. Are you going to put? Are you going to
go and stand down any aisle? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, or
are they going to have a platform somewhere?
Or is that? I don't know. Because like you said, it's 45 seats.
Yep.
I don't. Yeah, that's confusing to me because, like I said, I mean, you're just gonna go squeeze into it. I mean, it's not like anybody actually sits on their seats, anyways. Like where they just because how packed it's like you're getting packed into like sardines, just like any other big stadium. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do with that because the standing room only thing.
Right.
It's because even just me like thinking and like trying to like look at the stadium, I don't see where they could possibly do that though.
So the only thing that I can think of is at the north and south ends, right? As you come up right in the end zones, and you come up to the platform where you either go up the stairs or down the stairs. There's a big area at each end that for handicap accessible wheelchair is that if they're going to use some portion of that or something. That's the only thing in my mind that says, okay, we can put 25 people here at each end and still have plenty of handicap accessible area, because those areas are really big and they're relatively unused. You might see 1 or 2 people sitting them there, during the games. So that's just my best guess. And that's kind of stuff doesn't usually shake out where it makes a lot of sense, common sense, anyways, to most people. So, so we'll see what happens. But I've thought about it a little bit, and in my mind, that's the only two spots that make sense.
Yeah, now that's definitely the only spot that I can think of.
Yeah,
Like if they're gonna allow them just to kind of roam that section, like walk around the stadium, because you know how that goes all the way around.
yeah,
Um, yeah, that'll be an interesting layout. And
yeah.
I'll buy season tickets to stand if they're cheap.
$20 they're saying they're going to be.
Yeah, bet. Give me season tickets for $20.
Right. I want two.
Not like I don't. I want to stand at the games. Well, until we shit the bed. Well, right now I wanna stand at games. Pretty much any game. I don't usually sit down. If I don't have to. Uh yeah, that'll be interest development. And remember, there's a lot of changes that are going on at Michigan Stadium this season. The new scoreboards are going up. Um, what the new scoreboards, the tunnel being fixed. What was it? Wasn't there one more that they were doing?
Yeah, speakers.
Yeah, the new sound system looks good because Michigan Stadium's sound system sucks.
Yeah. But
um,
you want to know what's weird is that all the speakers are in the north end zone scoreboard, right?
mhm.
And that's how they're keeping it. I don't understand. Maybe it's an acoustic thing, and I know very little about that, but um, it seems weird that they wouldn't spend the money and have a surround sound type of deal.
Yeah, I wonder. So you said it's in the north end zone, so down
Yeah,
by the students.
yeah,
So I was gonna say something, but like why they might do that, but it doesn't even matter because it's in the wrong end zone for what I was gonna say. I was gonna say it might. I wonder if it's actually no, it wouldn't. It would actually make sense. It could be something to do with the sound ordinances or something like that, because all the houses and stuff that are going the other way, if it's coming out of the south end zone.
and that could be. Well, yeah. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is in the south, and that's why, because of the residential neighborhood.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it
Yeah,
was
I could
coming
be
out of the
mistaken on that.
south,
Maybe it's all on the south end.
well, no, I'm saying if it was coming out of the south, that would be the only way because the sound would be going towards the north,
Right.
and the north side is where all the houses are down there by whatever. I don't even remember the road we used to park on all the time and come down. Um,
Pauline.
yeah, down by Pauline and all that. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is why. Unless like you said, it's a sound thing, but I don't get it. Um, they, in my opinion, they should have just spent the money and closed off both end zones. Just expanded from what's it called? Expanded it out all the way to the suites. Now I know it didn't even have to
Right.
be just to keep the sound in because I mean the way Michigan Stadium is built, yeah, it's loud, but the sound doesn't. Just I mean the suites definitely helped when they built those, but if you put a whole entire wall connecting off those scoreboards, that place is well, in my opinion, will probably easily be one of the loudest stadium in the United States. And
Absolutely, and I think that eventually that'll happen, and that'll be their expanding seating. It'll probably add a couple thousand seats. Um,
even if you expand suites all the way around,
right.
like
Well, and I think that's why they didn't put suites there to begin with. But who knows? That because they believe it or not, this year, this past season was the first time that they've ever sold out all of the suites, and now there's a little bit of a waiting list.
Yeah, I mean
But
that
you're
also.
talking like $125,000 a season, so
Yeah,
that's not for everybody.
and it doesn't surprise again. It also doesn't surprise me that's the first time because I think a lot of Michigan fans are kind of like how I am and me and you are. If I'm going to a goddamn football game, I don't want to be in a fucking suite.
Right.
I want to be out in the environment. I want to be out experiencing the
Everything.
fanfare,
Yep.
whether it's you're dealing with what we dealt with in 2016 with the Orange Bowl, random people just jumping on you or
Right.
shit like that. I mean, that's the best thing about sports is the camaraderie. It just I don't know you, but let's fucking hug.
Right. Right.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll never forget that dude was a big dude, man. And when we scored, looked like we was gonna win. There's 4 or 5 people on my back, and you were one of them. We were just so jumping up and down and hugging.
oh
Really
yeah,
cool moment. So on the flip side, the Northwestern game where your lips were blue, that'd been nice to sit in the suite and watch.
yeah. Then, but I think now I really wouldn't give a fuck.
Right. So yeah,
But
to
yeah,
me, a suite it's a cool experience, right? Different to be able to sit in and do it. And one of the cool things about the suites is that you can have booze in there and they sell it to you, and you have food. Um, so that's kind of nice. But
yeah.
again,
Michigan Stadium. Come on, guys. Let's get off our high horse and get some goddamn alcohol in that stadium, please,
right.
please.
Okay.
Like,
So 110,000 people, right? So
okay,
let's just say 75,000 of those people are going to buy at least one beer, right? At $10 a fucking cop.
hmm
Um, yeah, that's $7.5 million right there just off of one beer.
yeah. That I know. I mean,
Oh, sorry, that's 750,000. Sorry,
I
but
thought you were going in a different aspect on that, and I already was like preparing an argument on my head, but you didn't go the way I thought you were going on that. Um, but come on, yeah. I mean, I I don't get it why they don't. Um, Ohio State does it. They sell alcohol at the stadium. I don't know if it's I don't Michigan State does now, don't they?
I believe so.
I know they didn't up until
So
I
Michigan just allowed it, I think this year, the state of Michigan. Um,
I just don't
I'm
I
not
just don't
100% on that. Maybe it was 2 years ago, but there was some. First it was an NCAA and a state thing, and now it's just been a state thing. But now all that's done, and one of the things, they're always crying about more revenue, and that's why I think eventually, the
I
ends of the
mean,
stadium will be capped with more seats, but also nobody that is a traditionalist wants to see ads in Michigan Stadium, right? And that beer money it could bring in just about unlimited revenue, because there's going to be a good chunk of the population that's going to drink 6, 7, 8 beers, at a time, and then there's going to be guys that were tailgating that just want a couple to maintain their buzz.
well,
Um,
I'll say this. I was looking around to see if uh so they've introduced the bill. I can't find anywhere where I've been able to see uh that it's actually happened, and this was from July last year. Um, but this is coming out of Ohio State. After Ohio State started selling alcohol stadium wide in 2016, um, their university police reported a 65% drop in alcohol related incidents inside the stadium because people realize that they can get alcohol inside the stadium. And so,
right.
I mean, you ain't getting out trash when you come in the stadium. I mean, people are still going to do that. I mean, shit. When we went to the Penn State game this year, there was a dude in front of us that was so fucked up he threw up all over the fucking ground in front
Well,
of
and the
us,
thing is
and
you're out tailgating, right?
it was an
You don't
11
want to
o'clock
give it up.
game.
So you walk from Pioneer. I've done it myself more than once. You walk from Pioneer with 3 or 4 beers in your hand,
Yeah.
and you're chugging them, and then right as till they get your ticket, you're chugging a beer down, and because you know that, hey, I'm not going to get another beer for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
and then the flip side of it is working you see it anyways, but working the security. I used to enter and exit the stadium right at the edge of the student section, and when the game was over, you walk up and there's thousands upon thousands of the little
oh, yeah,
99
little
or not
shitters.
99
Yeah.
cent anymore, but little shot glasses.
Yeah, those 99 proof little shots or the fucking
Yeah.
fireballs or
Yeah, what fireball, whatever. They're just littered everywhere. Well, anybody and their brother can fit 4 or 5 of those in their pocket without being detected. So, um, they're doing it anyways. You might as well make money off it. Is my point.
yeah, you would make quite, like you said, quite a bit of money off of it. And I mean, I think now that I just looked it up, I think it has not been legalized or allowed
Okay.
in Michigan yet. I'll have to do more research. That was just a quick look up, because they did introduce it, and you can uh, and they introduced the bill. Man, why is every goddamn news thing in Michigan got to pay a subscription only now? MLive, freaking Lansing Journal. Um, just from what I've seen, it so far it just says it's been introduced in July of 2022. Whether it's been updated and allowed yet, who knows? Um,
So I'm
but yeah,
pretty sure. Hang on before we move on. And here we are, 42 minutes in the show, talked about two things,
yeah.
but
Still got about 5 more topics, dude.
right. I'm pretty sure Yo sells beer.
They do not.
They do not.
No, because the thing I
It's
just
been a few
read.
years since I've been to a game. And
So the thing I just read was, hang on, that it's where'd it go? Michigan lawmakers have introduced a new plan that would allow alcohol sales, that would allow alcohol to be sold at college football, basketball, and hockey games. So if God, why? Detroit News too. Why do you have to have it? That this makes no sense to me. Why do I have to have a subscription for news? That's so dumb. But yeah. Um, that's at least that's what that article just said. Like I said, that's coming from the Detroit News back in July of 2022. And why don't you go to a hockey game and let me know? Send pictures. I want to go. We gotta cut that. So we'll move on from that one. I guess we will go on to. Let's look at, just because I'm missing football, you're missing college football. So why not look ahead? Why not look up and look at the way too early look at the 2023 Michigan football team? I mean, whether it's too deep, just kind of look at it. Um, like we talked about, have had a lot of returns. Big people that we needed to come back.
yeah,
Zach Zinner, Trevor Keegan, yeah, Blake Corum is probably the biggest one of them all. Cornelius Johnson, Mike Barrett, not Cornelius Johnson, Mikey Sainer still. All of them coming back when, honestly, all of them probably would have got drafted. Whether it was a late, probably majority of them were later picks in the draft. But this is something that I posted. I posted this on the Facebook page, I think, what's today? Like 2 weeks ago. Just to kind of, at least on the offensive too deep side, I mean, we're pretty deep, and offense looks pretty loaded. I mean, you have at quarterback. I mean, you obviously have McCarthy and Warren, which congrats to him on picking up a scholarship.
yep.
The kid's been through a lot. Didn't realize that until then. He was a cancer survivor. Come walk on. And I mean, what we've seen of him hasn't been a bad quarterback.
No, but not great competition and no pressure on him either, too,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
But he's looked very serviceable.
Running back Edwards or not Edwards, Corum and Edwards, the Axe, Cornelius Johnson, and what's his first name? Walker, the freshman from last year.
Yep.
At the Y, you got Roman Wilson and Darius Clemens. Slot would be, I mean, in my opinion, it's got to be Henning and Morris. I mean, I think the Henning was someone that we didn't see a lot of this year, and I'm not really like I said he was hurt quite a bit. I think also, but after the season he had, 2 years ago, where we did use him a lot on offense, you would have thought that we would have seen him a lot this year. I mean, he's a threat off the edge. Whether it's on reverse or something like that. And then I mean, if you go to tight end, you got tight end Y. You have your Y tight end, which would be Loveland, Colson coming off the edge with Hibner as backup. You got Barner and Bredesen at the H tight end. And then I think this is just insane to me that is their offensive line coming back. I mean, you got Henderson that transferred out of Arizona State, and then you have Percy behind him, which from what we've seen of Percy, he's been a good backup. You have Keegan and El Hadi at guard. You got the new kid coming out of Stanford, Nugent and Anderson. Right guard, Zinter and Barnhart, which both those players have played quite a bit at the University of Michigan. Both of them, Carson Barnhart and Zach Zinter. And then you got Trente Jones and Hinton at right tackle. I mean, if that's for someone that, I mean, for us that follow Michigan football, we all know that there's not one name on that list that really, other than like the young kids like Walker, Clemens, and Morris, that really hasn't proved themselves yet on the football field.
Right.
And I think that's pretty big, especially for an offense that was honestly, I think the TCU game showed, I think, how TCU and Ohio State game showed how explosive we can be if we need to be.
Right.
Which I don't mean to go back on it because I hate even talking about this still, but the TCU game, just, I mean, I know TCU's defense isn't that great. I mean, it's just not, even though we could score at will against them, honestly.
Yeah. We didn't come to play. We weren't mentally prepared. I think we were way too cocky, and we were getting our ass beat before we even realized we were in a fight. And you know, we were coming back and winning that fight, but we just ran out of time, man. And you know, that's on the coaching staff.
Hey, I agree. But I mean, with at least the offensive side lineup returning, it's a possibility we could be scoring again 30 to 40 points a game like we did this season.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
Mean, in this day and age, it's not.
Yeah, I expect us to take a step forward. You know, to me, the biggest loss, even though he didn't produce much to us, was Andrew Anthony. And maybe
we'll see how he does at Oklahoma.
Wrong on that, right? We'll see how he does at Oklahoma. But I forget what it was. We're returning 16, 17, 18 starters. So,
yeah, like I think it was it that? I thought it was 20. I don't know. I think, like you said earlier, Twitter majority of the time talks out of their ass. So I don't know, because I seen it on Twitter. I thought I'd seen 22 out of 25 or whatever it was.
That might be right too. It was a lot. I'm just I'm not counting their regular special teams guys and things of that nature, but it's a lot. Whatever it was, that I think that sports is a funny thing, and college sports aren't necessarily this way as often as what we've seen. But if you look at the Michigan football team and then you look at it how it relates to professional sports, and make no mistake, colleges is evolving into a professional type game. Is that you go back to the Red Wings or the Pistons or even like the Chicago Bulls. The Pistons had to overcome the Celtics, in the 80s and 90s, and the Lakers, and you make the playoffs, and then maybe you make your conference championship and you make the finals, and then you lose the finals, and kind of the same thing with Michigan. Last year they were just happy to be there. This past season, like you said, I do believe they took them too lightly and lost, but baby steps every year, and to me, at this point, barring some catastrophic injury, anything less than a CFP is a disappointment next season. I think we got to be right there. So
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I agree. That's what I was gonna say. I said I agree. I mean, a Big Ten championship again. I mean, like, and a CFP. I would. I think getting anything other. I think at this point, I mean, we've been there 2 years in a row. We've won 2 Big Ten championships. If we don't even, I think we don't win a game in the playoffs if we make it. It's a disappointment. I think after 3 years, the committee's gonna look at us and be like, "Well, do
the
they
following year
actually
you go to 12, right?" And
yeah.
I forget what
right.
the numbers are, but in the last 10 years we would have made like 7 or 8 of them. So
yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that I think after this season, this upcoming season, 2023 is you'll see the university. I mean, you're going to see the Bama, the Michigan, the Ohio States in the playoffs very regularly, and if they miss it, it's because they had a very bad season.
Right, exactly. One-off bad season, but next year's schedule I think sets up pretty nice for us. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, first 4 games, right? All home. Then at Nebraska. We'll see what Matt Rule does, but I think that should be a win. At Minnesota, that should be a win. Indiana at home, at Sparty. Purdue, at Penn State, that'll be a tough one. At Maryland, whatever. And then we got the Buckeyes at home. So
that's such a dangerous game.
We should be undefeated going into that Ohio State game again. Pretty
be honest with you, at this point, I was looking at the schedule the other day. It's very I think it's tougher than it looks.
Well, it's
way tougher than it looks, honestly. I think it's probably one of the tougher schedules in the Big Ten this season.
I don't know I haven't looked at everybody's schedule. I don't know about that, but I do agree that it's tougher than it looks, and it's certainly tougher than this year's schedule.
Well, yeah. I'm talking about. I'm not really talking about off season. Non-conference play. I'm looking at our Big Ten schedule. I mean, you're going into East Lansing. You're going into Happy Valley. Probably will be either whiteout. I hope it's not again. Hopefully they make that mistake and don't make us the whiteout again. Actually, wait. Big Ten doesn't do night games in November, do they? Is that game in November?
Yeah, I think so. I already shut that page. Let me.
But that's fine. I know it's like I think it's like the first week in November. So a fucking men to that. Never mind. They can do their whiteout. It's a day game. Don't care.
Yeah, November 11th. So yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So it's a day game. So they can do their whiteout all they want. That night game atmosphere and whiteout is way different than a day game whiteout. I mean, just like doing a maze out in the day is way different than doing a maze out at 7 o'clock at night.
Right.
They said you go again, and then that Maryland game before in between Penn State and Ohio State is watch out for that game next year being the death of us. Maryland, I mean, you have, and when I say the death, I mean probably it could be our first losses. We could lose that game very easily. Tulia, they got Tulia back. He's going back to Maryland. They've been this fucking close to fucking beating us past like 3 years.
Yeah.
Except 2 years ago we blew them out. Last time we played in Maryland, we absolutely destroyed them. I do remember that. But last year, played us tight at home.
Yep.
And then going into Nebraska too. I mean, Nebraska's that'll for sure be a night game. The Bussin' Bowl,
absolutely.
That'll for sure be a night game, and that game is
that'll be Matt. You know, Matt Rule's had that game circled since his first day, right? Because that's going to be, I'm betting that's going to be their first real game.
Well, they play Colorado. Well. They play Colorado, so that'll be an interesting scenario.
Oh no, too. Yeah, that'll be lights out. Yeah.
I mean that it'll be an interesting scenario to see where both teams are at, because with two new coaches, two big name coaches at that, like with Dion going into Colorado, and I don't think Dion. Go ahead.
I like Dion, and I think that he's going to do well there, well enough to move on eventually, just because of his status is you know what's getting him all these players. But so that's their second game, September 9th, at Colorado. That ESPN will have 24 coverage of that for about 10 days before the game, because they're so far up his ass, and he does such a great job of marketing stuff too. I don't want to take away from him, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I was off on that, thinking that Colorado game will be big for them, both teams.
My thing with Dion is that I think it was Micah Parsons made this tweet after he left Jackson State, was he sold a dream and then left the dream. Like, he went out there and told these kids, Jackson, but this is coming more from a humanity area, like being a human, more than a college football coach. And we all know that college football coaches can and are some of the dirtiest sons of bitches out there.
Yep.
And I don't blame what Dion did. Like, I don't. I'm just saying, you did go in and say, oh, we need to get all. You were there. You said, we're going to get all black. UMBC's back. Black college is back to where they should be. Like, sold that dream of, hey, come here. We want to make this place better. Blah, blah, blah. And then after 2 seasons, you hit the road. Especially because they were paying him.
Right.
And, I mean, that's where I say he sold a dream and left the dream. Like,
so, and I get that part, especially because it's black university, right? But I just can't believe that anybody with half a brain thought he was going to be there and coach forever. You know, Dion's done very well for himself, you know, financially. And you know, the guy he's a top 2, probably for sure 3 athlete of my lifetime. You know, I think Bo Jackson's number 1, and I think I could make an argument for Herschel Walker against Dion, but he's right there. But Dion, his ego isn't big enough to fit into Michigan Stadium, and that he's not doing this for money. He's doing this for his ego. You know, I strongly believe that. So the bigger the platform, the more attention he's going to get. And you think he's getting hyped now? Wait until you know if he has some success here and goes somewhere um, a big power school, Notre Dame, or even his alma mater, Florida State, they'll have live cams on them for weeks. So
Yeah.
we'll see. So Deion's net worth's about $45 million. So he's not doing it for the money.
No.
And he's been retired for so long that I find it hard to believe that he's like, oh, I want to get out of the house and do some things, because he's done a little bit of TV here and there, but he hasn't done that stuff. I just think that he's been gone so long. He needs some more people tell him how great he was, and he wants to remind people.
I agree completely. But yeah, I mean, I think next week we'll look at the defensive side of the ball. Going back on the early look, I think next week we'll look at the defensive side of the ball and look and see how dominant hopefully they can be next season as they were this season.
Yep.
All right, I got a question for you. What is and then honestly, if anybody wants to chime in on this, please comment. Because it's confusing to me. So Jim Caldwell was fired for going 9-7, correct?
Yep.
That was progressing the whole time he was in Detroit. But now Dan Campbell goes 9-7 and is being praised like he's fucking King Tut and sitting on his fucking high horse on a palace and didn't even make the playoffs. What? It's the same situation as Caldwell got fired for. So why is Dan Campbell being praised for it?
It's not the same situation. It's the hang on. It's the same record, right? It's the same record, but there's a lot of things that are different. The biggest thing is that was Calvin Johnson still around when Caldwell was coaching? I can't remember. I think he just left.
Yeah.
I think he might have left right in Caldwell's thing.
He was still there.
Was he? Okay. So I feel like I don't think Caldwell should have been fired, but I feel like they plateaued. Where this year's Lions, hang on, let me go through here, and then you rebut. Take notes.
You're good. No, you're good.
So this year's Lions left at least 3 wins on the table. Maybe still more than that. But they finished 8-1, I think it was. But okay. Martha Ford was running the team at that point. Strike against us because she ran it just like William Clay did, her husband. Mm-hmm. Quinn was hired as our GM and wanted his own coach, which I think is the biggest reason why he was in. He didn't want Caldwell. He wanted Patricia, which what a mistake that was. And I think the tape's still out, right? The Lions still have a long way to go, but I think that Brad Holmes, right now, he looks like the best GM of my lifetime for the Lions, and that's not a really high bar because we really haven't had anybody to like hang your hat on, from the time that probably my late teens or early 20s, I was screaming for who I think is the best GM in NFL history, Bill Polian. But so now we got Sheila Hampton Ford, who seems to be a little bit more involved and not nearly. Loyalty's good, but that was especially William Clay Ford's. That was his fatal flaw. She's more of an astute business mind. She's got her guy. with Brad Holmes, whose first 2 drafts have been, I think you could make a case to call them just phenomenal. And they're a young team, where Caldwell's team was an old aging team, with the exception of Stafford and Calvin. It's an apples to oranges scenario, where that was an old veteran team that, again, I think had plateaued, and this is a young up and rising team. And we got 2 first-round picks coming, which I don't expect us to hold on to. I think we'll probably drop that 6th pick and maybe get another low first and another high second, maybe even a third for it. But again, I thought we were relatively flat now, and now we're on the climb. And maybe it's a fluke. There's a lot of people that don't believe in golf. I think, I don't know that I feel one way or another about him. I think his success has been, his window has been too small. His career is defined by inconsistency, and he played really well this year. But that's kind of the gist of my argument, and I cannot believe, I think there's guys that deserved to win it over DC, but I can't believe that he's not even a finalist for Coach of the Year. That just blows my mind that he's not a finalist.
I can agree with the finalist thing. I mean, he did. I mean, the team finished out the good season, but I mean, for me, you say that they plateaued. I mean, Caldwell's team made 2 playoffs in 4 years.
Yeah, how many playoff games they win?
None, but how many playoff games the Lions won in fucking 80 years?
Correct.
I mean, you can look at that, but in my opinion, that's where it starts, is getting to the playoffs. And you make the playoffs in 4 years, and in two out of 4 seasons at a team that was not good when Caldwell took over. And I mean,
they were okay.
You had
they
Stafford.
Were okay. They weren't great, but they had a lot of weapons, and that's something. I guess that's another good way for me to put it. I mean, Dan Campbell has done more with less than what Caldwell had. So, Hall of Fame. Caldwell had a Hall of Fame quarterback and a top 5 receiver of all time on his team, right? Off is at this point in his career, and I don't see happening, is not going to be a Hall of Famer, and is on our offense is a weapon that any other team would be like kill to have. Nobody. Maybe the St.
Brown.
Yeah, St. Brown, the young kid.
I know you're talking about. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we just haven't seen it. My only argument, but it doesn't make sense for that part, is that we don't really know, though, because until we see it performances like how this season ended, you don't really know what he actually had. So I mean, he could have, the players now could be just as good as, not going to say as good as Calvin Johnson, but who knows that. What's that kid? That's the wide receiver from Bama that was injured, Jameis Williams.
Yeah. So he's a kid. He played a little bit towards the end of the year, but we didn't get to see his full potential. And you're right. Not that he's going to be Calvin Johnson, but he looks to be an all-pro type talent. But they didn't get to utilize him. But for me, okay, Campbell's first year is a free year, right? Because it was really Holmes's too, and he's figuring things out, not only of the team but also for himself. Campbell's a first-year coach, and this year, I really thought that they had a really good shot to make the playoffs, and I predicted that, I believe, on this podcast. And then they started off 1-6 or whatever it was, And I thought, oh shit. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this guy's got to go probably after this season. And he spins it around. So now next year, they have to make the playoffs, and they have to take a step forward. The one thing that so real quick, you know, uh, first game lost to the Falcons by 4, should have won that. Lost to the Colts the next week by 1, should have
Two of the
won that.
two of the worst teams in the NFL.
Right. But again, sorry, that was preseason. I'm looking wrong. First one, Eagles should have won that, lost by 3. Had that game won, gave it away. Week 3, Vikings lost by 4, gave it away. Next week, Seahawks had that one, gave it away, lost by 3. And then after that, they lost to Miami, which whatever. They lost to the Cowboys, got smoked by the Cowboys. Patriots smoked them, which is awful, 29-0. But then week 10, they go on a tear, lose one of the next 8, I think it is. So a shitty loss to the Carolina Panthers too, as well.
Very shitty loss.
Yeah. So they have to win the games they're supposed to win and win at least half of the 50-50, or the games they're not supposed to win. But I just feel like they're in a really good spot. This draft is going to tell a lot, because Holmes has done. It's really, I think it's a lot easier than people realize to get a first round pick wrong than it is right. But to me, where these guys really earn their money is doing better in the later rounds, and he has done phenomenal there so far. And if he can keep that up, that's thing. But one of the things, I'm rambling now, but one of the things that
that's fine,
like the most about Campbell and that drives me the most nuts, it's the same thing, is that he's a little bit of a loose cannon and a gambler, and it has paid off many times, but it's cost us. And I think as the Lions get better, he's going to have to rein that in a little bit, because he could cost us a big one, and that will cost him his job. But I do think, I don't know if I want to. Yeah, fuck it, I'll say it. I do think that the Lions, within 3 years, will make a Super Bowl appearance.
Not gonna happen. You want to know what? I'll tell you what. I'll say this: a championship will come to Ford Field in I'll say the next 5 years, but it's going to be the Michigan Panthers. It's not going to be the Detroit Lions.
We'll see.
Which that's another thing. I want to bring that up too, real quick. Just quick spurt. I just want to throw it in there. Cool to see that coming. That they finally decided to move that back to Detroit. I kind of wish they would have put him in Grand Rapids, because I think Detroit has a lot.
They do.
I think it would have been very
been cool, but
for Grand
Eastern
Rapids.
Michigan come in second place for that, and I thought, I didn't get that at all.
Money.
They almost went. Then they're going to practice at Eastern, have their training camp at Eastern. But the when the USFL come out the first time, Anthony Carter for Michigan went there, and they won a championship the first 2 of the first 3 years, I think, if I remember right. They were the shit. So it'll be kind of fun to watch them. But the one last thing on the Lions is that just because of not only in your lifetime and my lifetime, but Papa's lifetime, this has been the same thing. And I don't know that I've said this publicly on the podcast, but I've told you the one thing in common is the Ford family, and I finally think that maybe the daughter, maybe the right person. But with that being said, it would not shock me if they went fucking 2-15 next year. It just wouldn't, because that's just been the story of our life. But to me, it honestly feels a little bit different. And maybe they're the Buffalo Bills, right? That look good on paper and have a really good regular season and shit the bed in the playoffs every year for Buffalo's been doing that for 30-something years.
All the way back to Jim Kelly days.
Right. So we'll see, but this is the first time and maybe since the Barry Sanders, Herman Moore days where I've been genuinely excited about the Lions and think that they're on the rise.
We shall see. We shall see.
We shall see. That's what makes it fun. It's fun to talk and speculate on.
Oh yeah.
And then
yeah.
Sooner or later, your feet got to hit the road and prove it.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk about that and bring that up because I knew we were going to have two different opinions on that, and
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. All right, finally came. Last few minutes of the show. We'll go over the predictions. This is like 2 weeks in a row. I think we went over an hour and 15 minutes. Which, oh well. AFC NFC Championship games this Sunday. First game of the weekend is going to be the 49ers. All right. Yeah, 49ers at the Eagles in Philly. I'm still riding with the Niners. I think Niners are going to win Super Bowl this year. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Niners win it by 2 scores.
I'm rolling with the Niners too.
I think it's just.
So,
I think that team.
So little known fact. I don't know that I've ever told you this, but the Niners were, to me, what the Indianapolis Colts were to you when I was growing up, and maybe through my early to mid 20s, because in maybe 80
they were that team that you liked when you were young, and then
I rocked some apparel and stuff. I had a miniature Montana football helmet sitting next to my alarm clock, and the reason that won me over was that the Super Bowl maybe 81 was played in the Silver Dome, and the 49ers won it.
Mm-hmm.
And Dwight Clark had a really good catch. But anyway, the 49ers were my default second team all the way till Brady went to the Patriots. So that was 20-something years ago. But
yeah, Jim Irsay ruined the Colts for me.
Yeah.
That dude's a fucking turd.
So real quick, are you looking at the schedules on ESPN, or are you just going off the top of your head, or what?
What, for the Niners Eagles?
Yeah.
Like for these picks? All right, so I have the little thing down at the bottom. You know how I have like the 49ers Eagles thing down there? I'm just looking. I typed all that stuff up, and that's all I'm using. I'm not looking at anything. That's just
okay. So the reason why I asked is I want to ask you this because this blows my mind. I pulled it up on ESPN because I couldn't think of who San Francisco was playing. I just had this brain lock, right? But tickets for the games tomorrow, Cincinnati at Kansas City. Guess how much the lowest one is?
It's at Kansas City, probably $500.
$164, which is super reasonable for a conference championship.
Yeah, I figured.
So now guess what the cheapest one for the Phillies is?
If that's probably easily. Oh, you know what? I fucking seen this shit on Twitter or something. Isn't it like, I know earlier in the week it was like almost $1,000.
It's $617, but there's like a $450 difference between the two, which is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, it's insane.
Because to me the
Bengals,
Kansas City, Cincinnati is a lot bigger names. You got Burrow and Mahomes and
Burrow's about to. I'll say that in a minute.
I don't know. It just surprises me.
Yeah, I know that's insane to me. I mean, Eagles fans are fucking insane, anyways. But
right, and that's what it is.
Philly fans, period, are fucking insane. Doesn't matter what team.
They are by far the craziest fan base in all sports.
Raiders.
Raiders are enthusiastic.
Raiders when they were okay. I'll take that back. Raiders when they were in Oakland.
Santa Claus on Christmas Day.
Yeah, Raiders when they were in Oakland. But I don't know. You can maybe argue the fact that the Bills Mafia is up there. Pretty fucking close.
Bills Mafia's
But-
top 5, but I don't think there's anyone within 50 yards of the Eagles fans.
Okay, real quick. Top 5, like, here, we'll just do top 3, like, most, like, asshole-ish fan bases in the NFL you can think of. Like, top 3, just quick.
Eagles, Cowboys, Jets.
Okay. Ruthless. I should have said, like, when I say asshole, I mean, so, like, I'll go Eagles 100%. Eagles number 1. Raiders, and I'm gonna go, like, for, like, the ruthlessness of them, but they're also, like, kind of cool at the same time. But, like, the ruthlessness of Saints fans,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Saints fans are just insane. Like, it doesn't seem like they would be, but Jesus.
And just real quick before we make this next prediction and close out the show, if Detroit wins the Super Bowl,
I'll get on this show and do this naked. If Detroit wins the Super Bowl, I will do it naked, even though it'll get us probably fucking kicked off the internet. But I know, fuck it. If the Detroit wins the Super Bowl, I'll do like one of those fucking hot chip challenges or whatever on the show, and then I'll do it at the beginning of the show,
and then have to do the show.
Have to do the whole show. Yes.
Okay. So, but if they do, you will see the smoke from the fires down in Mississippi.
Oh, 100%.
Michigan will party for like 3 months straight.
They just got Detroit all nice and fixed up again, and it's gonna fucking go right back to fucking shit.
Right.
Oh, 100% the Lions ever win a Super Bowl.
That city will fucking burn.
Yeah, 100%. But all right, last one: Bengals Chiefs. Bengals just announced 2 of their offensive linemen are now out for the game, so Joe Burrow is gonna get hit more than what he already does, probably.
Yeah.
Most playoffs, he's been sacked the most by any quarterback than any quarterback ever has in the playoffs. I think that is a big factor in the game. I originally was going to go with the Bengals just because they've been rolling this season, also kind of like the Niners have. But again, Mahomes, there's nothing on Mahomes after last week's injury, which shout out to Chad Henne and a 98-yard touchdown drive.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs because from what I've seen, Mahomes is walking just fine after an interview.
Looks fairly normal.
Might not have the same speed he did or cut,
right.
But I think
the
difference
the Chiefs, between playing in a game and out warming up and running drills,
Yeah, I think the Chiefs win it though. Probably in a close one, just like how last year's game between them were to go to the Super Bowl, like a 3-point touchdown lead, maybe overtime.
So Kelsey's out with a back injury. And until that happened, I was going to ride with them, but I'm going with the Bengals. And no?
Hang on. No, you're right.
Hang on. I just swore I read that earlier today. So, and I didn't see the part about the O-line for the Bengals, but their O-line's garbage anyways. So I don't think it can get a whole lot worse. And I can't make up my mind if I like Joe Burrow or not. I'm leaning towards no.
I hate everything about Joe Burrow. And Aaron, I have never had this argument with Aaron because Aaron and me will not even be close to the fucking same fucking page. Joe Burrow is
right. Well, Aaron's got to wipe his chin off every time he thinks about fucking Joe Burrow.
We know.
There is a borderline creepy the obsession he has with him. But
hey, so Kelsey's 50-50 questionable for the game. And they said he's a full participant in practice. He's fucking playing.
Well, he'll give it a go if nothing else. But the back's a funny thing, man. If he could get out there and run a couple series and it tightens up and you're done. But Joe Burrow just to me has that it factor, and I don't think that you can count him out. Like you said, I lean more towards the way you feel about him, but there's something about him to me that's fascinating too. So I'm I'm gonna go with the Bengals for that, and just so we're not chalk on both games for the thing.
I do want to go back real quick about our picks from 2 weeks ago in the divisional or in the wild card round. I went 4-0 that week, or I went undefeated that week on picks. I'm kind of pissed off that I had nothing to prove it other than the video. I didn't write any of that shit down because after my season in fucking college football picks, that would have been nice to brag about a little bit.
I threw that week for you. I went 3-1.
Shut up.
Right.
No, you
That's
didn't.
Okay.
But yeah. But all right, guys. Another good episode for you guys. Another long episode.
So just to clarify, right before we sign off, right, when the Lions win the Super Bowl, you're gonna eat a hot chip naked and do the podcast.
I don't know about the whole naked part. More just
no, you said
probably,
that.
I mean, I would, but you'd still see just like me not having a shirt on right now.
Oh no, we're gonna do it standing up.
Yeah, that definitely get us kicked off the internet. But yeah, sure. I mean, I'll do the hot chip, 100%.
All right.
But they ain't making no. I almost did it for the playoffs next year, but that I don't know. The NFC North is going to be pretty shitty next year. So,
well, hey, let's do that. Let's do that. If they make it, you eat one, and if they don't, I eat one.
All right, I'll do it if not just making the playoffs, they have to win their division and make the playoffs. I'm not fucking doing it for a wild card spot. If they win the NFC North and make the playoffs, which obviously they would if they win the North.
Yeah. And if they don't make the playoffs, I'll eat one by any standard.
Well, no, just do it like
they can get in on the wild card. If they're in a wild card, I'm not eating a chip. Just so we're clear.
If they get on a wild card, you aren't eating a chip. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let me go over the contest again, guys. That way everyone's clear. I kind of was out of my head there when I originally read it earlier. We're going to be giving away the 2022 Big Ten Championship shirt on next week's show. To qualify for the chance to win, you must follow our page, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, whatever platform. Obviously, that's for the follow-like thing. As well as like and share today's episode of Tall and Taller with all your friends and family on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Well, we don't have an Instagram, but go ahead and share it on there too. Snapchat, wherever y'all can share it to, share it. Obviously we'll get notification. We'll draw the winner on next Saturday's episode. We'll go ahead and throw everything into a hat, everyone's names after I go through and figure it out Saturday morning. We'll draw the winner, and then whoever wins will get with you and get your information, get it sent out to you. But you got anything to say on that?
Nope. Go Blue. Hail.
Have a great weekend, y'all, and go Blue, and enjoy the weekend.